I'm thinking that people really like the interrupter.
Yeah, that was a good video. We talked about Kramer and how he's the pop-in and the classic interrupter.
Yeah.
And tonight we're going to talk about, I guess, Don't Interrupt Me Part 2.
Yeah, Don't Interrupt Me Part 2. Whoa!
Hey everybody, I am Chuck Rogers. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Keith Dunn, and I am a network engineer.
And together we are Tabletop Coffee, where each week we talk about how to do life, do it well, being bold.
And never, ever bitter.
And tonight we're talking about Part 2 of Don't Interrupt Me, Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stay tuned. We'll show you how it's done. Yeah, so we spend a lot of time talking about how frustrating it is for people to be interrupted.
Right.
And so then you and I have talked since then about maybe talking about why it is that people interrupt.
Yeah, and I was actually talking to somebody who struggles with this, and they sometimes will just jump in on a conversation, and when I ask them, well, why is it that you feel that you need to do this? And the answer was, I'm scared or I'm fearful that I'll forget what I need to add to the conversation.
Which is what we talk about every week. The conflict is always about fear and dream.
That's right.
Dream is I want to be heard. Fear is I'm fearful I'm going to forget. So there we go.
Yeah, so that was the fear. So how do you alleviate that fear?
Well, I want to share a couple other things with you. We got some comments.
Okay. Yeah, I know. That's great.
Yeah, Jody writes in and she says, this is me not meaning to, but I do it and I hit myself in the head and say, duh. And I said, oh my. And she says, yes, I just talk too much. Jody likes to talk. But then our Meredith as well, who we used to see at Starbucks when we were there all the time, she wrote back in and she says, it's me. I'm an interrupter. And I said, oh, surely not you, Meredith. Surely not you. And she says, sadly, it's unintentional. I just get excited about what I have to say, or I'm afraid I'm going to forget it.
Okay.
Or I'm anticipating the remainder of the other person's conversation and just want to jump ahead. So Meredith, we know she does get really excited about it. But then she's like this person you talked to said they're just afraid that they're going to forget. And so they just got to jump in and say it.
Yeah, and I can see the excited side of things as well, because sometimes we have something we want to interject or we want to add to whatever's being talked about. And it doesn't even have to be a conversation where you're arguing with each other. It can be something you're excited about.
Right.
But you aren't able to get your point out, or whoa, or what
How's that go?
Whoa. That was another Kramer moment. Or what you're talking about, and being interrupted is just, it makes you feel bad. And we talked about that in the first video as well. That is really the main part behind it, is it makes the person feel bad.
Like they don't matter.
No, they don't matter.
So let's talk about maybe an intervention that you can do.
Okay.
I guess maybe from each side.
Okay. Well, I think that from one side, the person who is interrupting, it might be beneficial to have a pad and a pencil or a pen.
Yeah, I think so. Something behavioral.
Yeah, and so that they can just jot down what they're thinking. But my concern about that is that the person who is speaking, might still feel like they're not necessarily being interrupted, but they're still having that fear of not being heard.
So I think that fear is legitimate.
Okay.
On the other hand, what's the other alternative? Is to keep interrupting people forever? So I think to tip a domino.
Okay. Yeah. We've got our dominoes back here.
To tip a domino and try this and see if it works. So if you're having a conversation with someone, to maybe have your paper handy and say, keep talking. I'm just going to write down something I want to bring up in a minute. And just kind of jot it down.
Sure.
And then bring it up later. I think that's honoring to the other person.
I think so too. Yeah. Especially if they know that going into the conversation. And it's not just that somebody's sitting there with the pad and writing things down. It's known what is going to happen through that conversation.
And then I thought, maybe if you interrupt me, I slide you a piece of paper and say, hey, can you just write that down, and we'll talk about that in a minute after I finish my thought.
Okay. I think that can work as well.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful about it, be kind and gentle.
Right.
But I do believe that it can work.
Do you think that would be something that would be better talked about early on? I mean, before you even get into the conversation, because if you're ready to hand this person a sheet of paper, then this has happened between the two of you before.
Yeah.
So it's probably not a bad idea to preface the conversation with, hey, maybe this time, because I want to feel heard, and I know you want to feel heard.
Sure.
So if either one of us feel as if we have something we want to add and the other person is not finished with their part of the conversation, can we just say that we're going to jot that down?
I think that'd be great.
Okay, I think that's a good way. That way, you're kind of putting it on both of you.
I think so.
Instead of putting it all on the other person.
I think it's a great idea.
I think that works.
Now, remember, there are 3 phases to breaking any habit.
Okay.
You'll kind of catch yourself afterward, then you'll catch yourself during, and then hopefully you'll catch yourself before you do
Right.
it. And this process can take anywhere from, like, maybe if you got lucky, you
Okay.
can get rid of it in a couple days. But my guess is it's going to take a few weeks, maybe even 60 days or so. So
Yeah.
don't become weary in doing good. Stay at this because it's an annoying
Right.
habit and you want to break it. Both people want to break it.
Okay, that's great. And that's great to have those steps involved.
Yeah. So there you are. If you liked our content, please subscribe to our channel and make sure that you like it.
Yeah, oh, and click that bell. Be sure to click that
Click the
bell
bell.
as well once you subscribe so that you're notified of any upcoming episodes that we put out.
We sure would appreciate it.
Yep. Until next time.
Thanks, everyone.